The process of self-actualization that I'm here to guide you through addresses self-actualization from more of an internal state. If you know much about Abraham Maslow's theory on self-actualization, it shows us the basic principles about how each individual relates to the external world. The process I'm here to provide you with will take you further within to define where that comes from and why you relate to the world the way that you do. We are essentially taking the unconscious and bringing it to the conscious so that you can become aware and make adjustments. So now moving on to the first phase of self-actualization, we are discussing nurturing. And in Maslow's theory, he would refer to this as physiological needs. When we're talking about nurturing, we're talking about how you relate to the things that you value and to the degree in which you value them. Nurturing is the first phase of how your self image takes shape. So you'll begin to notice over time, the more you value your inner world, the more your external world will just naturally align. It doesn't mean you don't have to take action or show up in your own life. It's the complete opposite of that. It shows you where and when to take action and how to show up in your life. It's a very intentional process that's self-directed. So this means we are now creating from a space of authentic fulfillment. So you're no longer identifying what you are taught to value. You're getting clear and you're choosing what you value and how to apply your efforts towards nurturing those things. So this includes your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. So to feel more connected with yourself, there needs to be conscious nurturing taking place in all four facets of these parts of yourself to have more of a holistic connection. So the more you are connected to yourself, the more you can create from an authentic place. And there's less confusion in where to put your time and your energy into. So when your needs and your desires are aligned, you'll begin to consciously nurture the things you truly value and not the things that you were just taught to value, which are very unconscious patterns. So all you need to do to get started is get clear. Whatever it is that you want, how does it make you feel? Does it make you feel more empowered, more confident, more self-sufficient? What is that feeling that you need more of? So nurturing, it's always about how you feel. So how do you feel right now? How do you usually feel? On most days, what is your baseline feeling? And what do you want to feel more of? Do you think that it's possible? So, how you nurture yourself will begin to move you towards more of the feeling that you're desiring in your life. And it's either done consciously or unconsciously. And so, either way, you're always directing yourself somewhere. So, you're going to begin by asking yourself some questions to get clear. What do you want to feel more of? And what do you want more of in your life? So, my name is Jessica. I'm here to provide you information about self actualization that I spent many years trying to figure out for myself. And I believe that information should be accessible to everyone who's interested in it. And if I can provide a map, I hope that those that are interested in navigating that journey will hopefully find an easier path by having a process to work with, to navigate their journey. And so, for those that need assistance, I also provide services with Infinite Destiny. But so let's get into the first phase and into the steps of nurturing. So, for phase one regarding nurturing, this is how do I relate? This is how you relate to yourself, but also to the environment, to everything outside of you. But it begins from an internal state. And so, as you can see, this identifies how your self image and your self concept begins to form. So, we're going to begin by talking about steps to nurturing your mind, which is about focus and attention. So, how you choose to focus your mind. So, nurturing your mind comes from what you focus in on and how you use your attention. So, choosing information and content that'll help you nurture more of what your life. So, whatever that is, and as I had said before, nurturing is about a feeling that we're moving towards because there is a sense within the self that there's a lack of that feeling. Now, whether or not it's completely absent or you just need more of it. So, let's say empowerment, for instance. When you're choosing information, content, conversations, you want to make sure that you are choosing those that would feel empowering, that teach you about empowering, that bring more empowerment into your focus and attention so that you can get very natural in the feeling of empowerment. And that's what you're trying to do is bring more of that feeling into your life through focus and attention, conscious effort of using communication and content in that way. So the next step is to monitor the amount. I can't talk today. Monitor the amount of content you are consuming. So if you spend a lot of time consuming content, then you need to also make sure that you are contributing in some way equally. Try to equalize it as much as you can. There needs to be a balance. When there's an imbalance of what we consume versus what we contribute, it begins to deplete self-esteem. And so keep that in mind. The next step that you can take to focus is on building a skill that helps you develop more of that feeling that you're looking for. So let's go back to empowerment. If it's empowerment that you want to focus in on, find a skill that helps you feel empowered and condition your mind that that feeling is very natural for you and it'll become more of your own personal self-concept. You'll find more and more of yourself developing that skill and naturally showing up in that way. So the next step is when you are choosing a skill, focus in on one skill at a time. So instead of looping through options, just choose one. And at the point that it doesn't satisfy you, then move on. But choose one skill, one task at a time. You're teaching your mind the importance and priority of whatever the choice is that you are making. And you're showing yourself that you're accountable in that way. So what happens is that it can create distortion and confusion if you choose too many options at once. So the next step is about nurturing your emotions. And this is about creating safety for expression. So emotions are not always easy to navigate. They can be very powerful. How they are expressed, impressed, and repressed, it's usually unconscious. And so what you want to do is You want to name it without identifying with it, such as I am feeling however you're feeling. I am feeling angry. I am not angry. I am not that emotion. The emotion is just expressing itself through me. So I am just a channel for the emotion. The next step is allow your emotions to be what they are. So if you have a negative emotion, allow them to process, allow them to express themselves through you so that you don't repress them. So, yeah, they're challenging at times, but you don't want to run from it. You don't want to repress it. Let your emotions know that they're safe and they're not shameful, no matter what it is. The next one is get moving. Be in your physical body. The best way that you can is to be in the present moment. So if you are processing heavy or intense emotions, move your body and focus on something. So clean your house, be present in that process, go for a walk, be very present in your environment. Over time, your emotions will know they are safe to process through you and they won't unconsciously repress. And so this will keep your emotions from being stored in the body. Stored in and repressed emotions, they create self-doubt, they create discomfort, and they make you question yourself. So it's really important to have a good relationship with your emotions. The next step is take your power back. Not every emotion needs to be analyzed. So don't get stuck in the trap of wondering if this emotion was triggered because when you were 3 years old, you were told no. It's not relevant. Your emotion is right here in this present moment expressing itself through you. And sure, there's a history, an unconscious pattern that's been created, but it doesn't need to be sorted out. As your emotions feel more safe to be expressed, they'll communicate those things very naturally to you. So you don't need to dig them out. You just need to be here now. So next is nurturing your body. So your body is your protector and ally. So the most obvious thing we think of when we think of nurturing our body is how we eat, drink, and breathe. That's the first thing most people think about because we have to do those things, whether we want to or not. We have to be alive. But there's so much more to it than that. The body does so much more than that. It protects you and it guides you. And so step one is to honor what your body does for you. Your relationship to your body will determine the amount of protection that you receive from it. It's a mutual relationship. Your body is a container. It absorbs everything you consume, from information to the environmental elements. Your body is either absorbing or protecting you from these things the best way that it can. So if you have a good relationship with your body, it will instinctively lead you from certain places and things that can be harmful. And it takes time to develop that relationship, but you can develop that relationship just by being present in your physical body. So I personally prefer Tai Chi and Qigong, but any type of movement that helps you stay alert and know the subtleties in your body. It'll help you tune into the present moment. Next, what you'll want to do is to choose what your body needs as often as possible and try to be consistent with it. So you don't want to overpromise because that creates distrust. Each time you choose what your body needs, it develops a sense of trust and a better relationship will develop over time. But you need to start small so that you can be consistent and follow through. Now, the last step is to just be present and aware of the language that your body speaks. The more you know the language of your body, the better your body can heal and signal to you when something's not a good choice. But you have to understand what that language is. So the fourth facet to nurture is nurturing your spirit. Nurturing your spirit is about faith in yourself, which is self-trust. So your spirit can be looked at like the whole of you. It's your mind, body, and your heart. When you are fully aligned, mind, body, and your heart, you know it. Feeling misaligned is like it's like this static. It's like having a difficult time making choices, feeling solid in your decisions, feeling a lot of self-doubt. All of that is misalignment. So when you are feeling misaligned, it's important to just slow down, get clear, get centered. This next step to nurturing your spirit is to develop faith in yourself. And that comes from trusting yourself in your own thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. So if you don't trust in your own thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, it's much easier to be led and directed by somebody else's intentions. So developing this part of your trust comes through consistency. If you need to set very small steps that you can follow through with, start there. But if you know you can be consistent with yourself and show up for yourself, then you begin to build trust within yourself. You do not want to overpromise and underdeliver. So that will actually set you back. So make sure that you're developing steps that you can follow through with. The next step is nurturing your spirit. It's about accountability, but it's also about simultaneously showing compassion for yourself. So when you're consistent with yourself, you can hold yourself accountable and say, I'm going to show up and show up. But there's going to be days that you fall short. And on those days that you fall short, how do you treat yourself? Do you shame yourself? So it's very important to show compassion and still hold yourself accountable. So it's okay that you fell short. You tell yourself, I know I fell short today. That is holding yourself accountable. But also not being mad and angry at yourself or shaming yourself for that. Saying, okay, I will have to try again. I'm going to keep going. I am not going to give up. And being proud of yourself for that. So it's a constant process and it becomes natural over time. But being realistic is very important. We all fall short sometimes. There are going to be times when you want to fixate on how you fell short, but you can't keep your attention there. If you do, it'll just cause shame and it'll be harder to take accountability. So it's just so much easier to make excuses at that point. So instead, when you fall short, that's an opportunity. That is a chance to practice compassion. Compassion with yourself is just as important as showing up. It's teaching yourself it's okay not to be perfect. You are still valuable. Shame leads to depletion. Compassion with accountability leads to success. So this concludes the lesson on nurturing, the first phase of the process of self-actualization. I hope that you were able to get something out of this. If you have any questions about the process, please feel free to reach. I'm happy to share information, happy to provide any information that might help you along the way. Okay, thank you. Take care.